Microsoft's Surface Pro line hasn't been updated in a bit, but according to some of the latest rumors and things we've been hearing from Microsoft, a big update to the Surface Pro line is coming soon. Hey YouTube, how's it going? My name's Jonathan, and in this video, I'm going over everything that you should be expecting from the Surface Pro 6. So in some ways, even to call the next Surface Pro the Surface Pro 6 is a little bit misleading. The last big Surface Pro event that Microsoft had was the May 2017 launch of the Surface Pro 2017 edition, which sure, it was an upgrade to the Surface Pro line, it improved battery life and an improved Surface Pen, but it wasn't that big of an upgrade, and Microsoft didn't even go as far as to call it the Surface Pro 5. Considering that it launched about a year and a half after the Surface Pro 4 came out, it was a little bit underwhelming, and now it's going to be really interesting to see where Microsoft goes with the Surface Pro line in the future. There's actually been word from Microsoft itself that a heavily redesigned Surface Pro is going to be coming in mid-2019, which is still quite a ways away. It's actually 2 years after the 2017 Surface Pro announced, so it's kind of interesting to see, what Microsoft is actually thinking with their Surface Pro line. With the release schedule that we've been seeing lately, the Surface Pro line has been getting upgrades about as often as like a laptop or a desktop, definitely not as often as like, a normal tablet with like the Apple iPad, and that it's maybe intentional, maybe that's what Microsoft is going for. As far as what we could be expecting to see from the Surface Pro 6 though, let's just go ahead and talk about what we know so far. Since a major redesign is in the works, it's going to be really interesting to see what Microsoft actually does end up changing. We've seen some concepts like, for instance, those published by VentureBeat, which showed a number of press renders that claimed to be the Surface Pro 4 successor, and as it turned out that was only half true because the designs ended up representing the Surface Pro rather than a true Surface Pro 5. People who were hoping for a major redesign of the Surface Pro 4 appear instead a rude awakening with the 2017 Surface Pro, and Microsoft is really overdue to change something. It's possible to make the tablet thinner, it's possible they'll get rid of the bezels, it's possible they'll overhaul the type cover in some way. It's very hard to say definitively what Microsoft is going to do, but there are some very good guesses about some things that we should expect to see in the Pro 5. For one thing, the current Surface Pro uses a Kinect proprietary charger, which is almost definitely going to change in the next model, given that the Surface Book 2 does offer native support for USB Type-C. It's also very possible that we'll be seeing a major overhaul on the inside of the tablet. The 2017 Surface Pro was actually announced just 2 months before Intel announced its 8th generation Ultrabook processors, which are quad-core at the most affordable level. The 2017 Surface Pro for now only has a 7th generation dual-core processor, regardless of what configuration you get, so when a Surface Pro 6 does come down, we definitely should expect to see an Intel Core i5-8250U to start out, and then maybe an Intel Core i7-8550U at a more expensive configuration. I would definitely love to see the entry-level Core M3 Surface Pro just completely going away, although that is pretty unlikely given that Microsoft's other Surface devices have actually only recently begun to adopt it for the first time. Now, one other area that could be significantly revamped is the Surface Pen. Current patents suggest that Microsoft is working on a stylus whose tip actually retracts when it's pressed against a flat surface, and from there coil will be compacted and subsequently vibrate from within the pen's chassis. This will make writing on the Surface Pro feel a lot more like using pencil and paper, and honestly this is something that Apple's also been playing with for quite a while now. Another Surface Pen patent describes a retention clip that can actually emulate the functions of a mouse's scroll wheel, and this could be really good for people who are more artistic and are getting the Surface Pro for its artistic capabilities, and maybe don't want to spend the extra money on a type cover. If the Surface Pen can do pretty much everything a mouse can do, it might actually be an attractive option for some people to just get this tablet and the pen and not have to worry about getting a keyboard for it. Speaking of the cost of the Surface Pro, it is pretty likely that even with the redesign, the Surface Pro will stay about the same price as the 2017 Surface Pro model. The current Surface Pro comes with a $799 entry-level starting price, and that does sound pretty good, but again, you have to factor in you'll be spending an extra $129 on the type cover, so really you'll be spending close to $1,000 to get the complete Surface experience. It is actually also possible that the Surface Pro line will go in the direction that Microsoft has gone with the Surface Book and the Surface Go, and actually offer different screen sizes. Apple currently offers both a 10.5-inch and a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and there could be some Microsoft customers who really want a powerful yet small tablet. If that's the case, we could be seeing like a model of the Surface Pro in between the Surface Go's $399 starting point and the $800 starting point of the current Surface Pro, maybe around like $600 or $700, but that is kind of just speculation at this point. Overall, regardless of what Microsoft actually decides to do for the Surface Pro 6, it is going to be really exciting to see a major upgrade to the Surface Pro line again, considering that it's been quite a long time since the last major update was unveiled. Let me know what you'd like to see in the Surface Pro 6 in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about my new videos. And with that said, I will see you next time.